right, so today is Wednesday, and that means that we're going to be wrapping this up a little bit, but we are going to have a little test quizzy type thing coming up to prove that you've been paying attention this week. So as we wrap up things that we are talking about right now, I want you guys to take a look real quick at the Access database that we did yesterday. Now, everybody look here and pay attention real quick. Yesterday on our queries, it's really loud and annoying. Okay, the queries are questions. Remember what I said, queries are questions. You can set up a query to look through your database and find pertinent information and stuff like that. Now, I told you yesterday, and it was a mistake. I said that if you wanted to do things where it's like you have two criteria and they need to meet both of them, that you would put one on the criteria line and the other on the or line, and that was incorrect. Okay? If you have two things and both things must be true in order for you to have this thing be a thing and make the list, they need to be on the same criteria line. Okay? So, for example, if I want to know about people who owe me money more than $1,000 and they have to have a last name of L, so I'd say L star. The star is a wild card. It means I don't care what comes after this. Okay? So, any last name that starts with the letter L, okay, it could be whatever. It doesn't matter. If you type in like Lankin, then it's going to look only for Lankin. If you type in L, then that last name would only be L. It's like if somebody's got a last name of L, they make the list. But nobody's got a last name of just L. So you have to say L star. Okay, that little Shift 8 key right there. L star means L, and I don't care what happens after that. As long as it starts with an L, we're good. So both of them need to be on the same criteria line in order for it to have to both be true in order to make the list. Okay, so now you can see I am the only one on the list because I have a last name of L and I owe $6,000. All the other customers, last name of J, last name of M, last name of S, doesn't owe more than $1,000. Okay, so you can see that because I have two things that must be true, last name starts with an L and owes more than $1,000, I am the only one on this list. Okay? Now, if you wanted to make it to where there's two things and either one of them could get you on the list, then you could do something on the or line and it would work. So for example, let's see. I got my customers, but it's like I also want to include like oh dang it, I was gonna say like how to get these other guys on the list that don't owe $1,000 or more. Okay, so I'm gonna say if your last name starts with M and or you owe more than $1,000, then you can make the list. So I'm gonna say M on the last name and star or $1,000. You will see when I make that criteria and I run it, you can see that everybody makes the list because all of these people owe $1,000. That's why they made the list. These guys don't owe $1,000, but their last name starts with M. Okay, that's why they made the list. Okay, so there's two criteria there. Now, I can do it one more time. I could say greater than $10,000, and that cuts the list significantly shorter. Okay, so Julie Smith makes the list because she owes more than $10,000. Marakeen makes the list because he's got an M for a last name. Martinez makes the list because he's got an M for a last name. And that's how those two got on the list. So if you put it on the or line, it's another way to make the list. So you have every time you go onto one of these lines underneath it and put something else in there, it basically is like saying you can also make the list this way. So every one of those or lines is just another way that you could possibly make the list. So like let's say like I'm a school counselor and my job is everybody from M to P, like all the Martinez's to like all the Perez's. Okay, so I would have one line here that said like I'd take out this 10,000 and I would say has a M, okay, has a N star Okay, the next line would be O star. Oops. O star. The next one would be P star. Okay, and then it's like anybody with the last name starting with M, N, O, or P, that would show up on my list. So it's like if this was a list of students and I did this thing, I could see all of my students with this query because everybody whose last name starts with M to everybody whose last name starts with P, they would all end up on this list. See how that works? Okay, cool. All right, so that is queries. Let's now stop talking about queries. Yeah, raise your hand. Okay, cool. And let's go to the last thing that we are creating, possibly. Go to the Create tab. Okay, you can save. Yeah, you can save the query. You can save the query definitions if you want to. Go to the Create tab. The last thing that we could talk about is forms here. Okay, forms are basically how you get information into your databases. So if you have a customer database here, and you've got like all this stuff just basically in your standard issue database, and you're like, okay, this is cool and everything, but you're getting paid by a company probably to do some very advanced work. So one of the advanced things that advanced programmers and people who do database engineering do is they create forms that people can see and utilize. Okay, for example, at HEB, when you swipe the coconut, that accesses a database and puts together information. Okay, the program that utilizes that information, though, on the screen with the little girl with the cash register right there, does it look like this? Does it look like this kind of database? No, that screen on the HEB checkout counter does not look like this, does it? Okay, so forms are the way that you pretty up these databases so that when people put in information or do something with information, it basically makes it look like you're actually using some kind of program and not just like putting in information into a database. All right, so let's go over here. Once again, we're noobs. We don't know what we're doing yet. We are not professionals. So let's use the form wizard. So open up your customer's database, go to form wizard on the create tab. Why does it give me a security? Whatever. All right. Now the form wizard, usually you want to put in everything that the person has got going on at this time, like on the database. So you could put in all elements of the database using this double arrow. Okay, you put the double arrow in there and you go ahead and say next, because you got everything on there. You want to put everything on there. Okay, how do we want to do it? Well, there's these different options. We can always just like choose how we want to have it set up, but we can also do columns here. That's fine. Columnar is fine. Go ahead and say next. Okay, and let's say this is customer entry form. Type up the name of it as customer entry form. You could do this. Go ahead. You've got like a database, right, Marcos? Customer entry form. Say finish. So now you've got a very basic, very generic looking form. You could do things like when you're doing this form, go here and say, okay, so right now you're on customer number 1. Okay, take a look down here at the bottom. Here are your records. Right now you are on record 1 of 5. Okay, and you've got arrows that you can use to cycle through the various different customers, right? Okay, and you also have this bar arrow, which takes you to the first record, and this bar arrow takes you to the last record. Okay, down here at the bottom. But also, everybody look. Right here, you can see an arrow that points to a little yellow sun. This is a button for a new record. Go ahead and click on this. It immediately takes you to line 6 of your database, which is the first blank that's in there. And now you've got a blank form with which to put in some people's information. All right, so let's go ahead and say this is customer 006. First name, Oscar. Press tab, get to the last name, Perez. Address, 555 South Uptown. Drive. 555 South Uptown Drive. Press tab again. Zip code, let's say 78215. His birthday is on Halloween. 10/31, 95, 95, 96? 10/31/96. He was born on Halloween, 1996. It was a scary day for his mom. What's that? I honestly really can't. I really can't zoom in on this because that's not exactly how it works. Okay, so it's customer 006, first name Oscar, last name Perez. He lives at 555 South Uptown Drive in zip code 78215. And he was born on Halloween, 1996. So 10/31/1996. Okay. And he's just opened up an account, so he just owes us $100. Okay. Now, if you check your customer table, you will notice that that information is not in there yet. Okay. Not until you press down here to go to the next tab would that information get entered into the customer form. So close your customer table and then reopen it, and then you will see that you now have a new entry for customer number 6, Oscar Perez. So you should close your customer table and then reopen it to see the update. But this form, as you enter it, updates the customer table. Now, I had to go and press the next record button to basically get it off of record 6 and make it go to record 7. Okay, so that is kind of a thing that you can do, but there are also other things you can do with these customer entry forms. Okay, for example, let's go over here to the View tab, and let's go off of Form View, and you can go to Design View. And once again, just like with your records, with Design View, you can actually change how these things are laid out. You can move around. There's just one problem with these, though. Everything is together. Okay, so if I move one of them, if I move this customer ID label, the customer ID box goes with it. Now, that can be a little bit of a problem. Now, do you see these gray squares? Do you see the gray square around it? If you click on the gray square and move it, then you can move a label or a white box individually. Okay? All right. Now, another thing that you can do when you're in the form design, you can see that there are controls here. There are various different things like check boxes, pictures that you could put in, text boxes for things. But here's a good one, buttons. You can click on this, and it gives you like a little drawing tool, and then you could like put a little button here. And the thing that you can do, it gives you a list of things that you can do, like record navigation. There are actions like finding next records, go to the next records, record operations. Like this button could be used to start up adding a new record, or it could be used to delete a new record. Delete, save. Aha, here's a useful one. I can take this button and make it save a record as I'm working on it, okay? So I would click on that. I would say, go to record operations, make this button have the action of when I press it, I save the record. I say next, and I can do it as a text on the button or put some kind of picture on there. So I'm going to say, let's just put in text and say save record. Okay. And then what do you want to call this button? Well, Command 15 doesn't really tell me much about it. So save record button or save record or something like that will work. So say finish. Okay, and now this is the save record button. So now when I go back to my form view, there's now a button on here that when I press it, it will save the record. Okay, so I go a new record, customer 007, first name Bob, last name Saget, address 123 Lance Street. I'm just making stuff up now. Zip code 78251. Birthday was February 2nd, 2002. Okay, and the amount owed is 150 bucks. Okay, and then I press save record, and it saves the record for me. Now when I go to the customers page, there we go. Customer number 7 is entered. See how that works? All right. So the form is basically a way for a database designer to put together a way for people to enter information into the tables that's much more eye-pleasing. I mean, everybody take a look at this. Which would you rather put information into, this or this? Yeah, the first one is a lot more pleasing to the eye, and it makes people, you know, like they're really more interested in like looking at something like this. And you could put colors in it, and you could like put background graphics, or maybe like the corporate logo right here or something like that. You could dress it up a little bit. Professional, you know, database engineers, they can do all kinds of stuff like that. Okay, so that's forms. That's how forms are done. Okay, so what we've talked about now, we've talked about creating tables. We've talked about creating queries. We've talked about creating forms. We've talked about creating reports. There's really only one thing left to talk about, and that is getting external data into the spreadsheet or database, or also exporting data, taking data and putting it out of the database. Okay. Now, I want everybody to go to the Google Classroom real quick. Okay, I'm going to add an Excel spreadsheet. Let's see. Okay. I tell you what. Let's do something else first. First, we're going to export. All right. Go to external data. Go to your external data tab. Silva. Jonathan. What you doing? Go to your external tab. And in the area for exporting stuff, one of the ways you can export is as an Excel spreadsheet. Exporting basically means take your Access database and turn it into something else. Okay? So we're going to turn it into an Excel spreadsheet. So click on Excel, and it's going to say, hey, what do you want to do here? But you got to be on the right thing first. Make sure that you are only, make sure that you only have your customers, make sure that you only have your customers database up, and then say Excel. Okay, so we're going to be exporting our database table for customers into an Excel spreadsheet. What do you want to call it is the first line. It's basically customers.excel spreadsheet. Sure, that sounds great. Okay. You can export data with formatting and layout if you want to. You can open the destination file after you finished it, which that sounds like a good idea because then you can open it up in Excel and see what happened. So click on these two boxes that say export data with formatting and open the destination file after it's complete. Go ahead and say OK. So it'll take the data that's in your table right here, and bada boom, bada bing, it turns it into an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so all of the information that you had in your database is now in an Excel spreadsheet. Now remember what I said about Excel spreadsheets. Very flexible, can do lots of math, can do different kinds of data manipulation and all kinds of stuff like that. You can move things, you can change things, you can put stuff on different, you can put stuff in different cell groups and stuff like that. Excel's a lot more flexible, remember? So sometimes you want to do stuff like that. Export your information into an Excel spreadsheet and then do a bunch of stuff like analyzing. Like what are our averages here? How much stuff is in this? Can we, if we change this variable, what would happen? Okay, so I have exported into an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, now I'm going to change this to 008, 009. Okay, I'm going to have to make sure that this knows that it's just text. Text. There we go. 008. 9. Okay. All right, so here, watch this. I changed the customer ID to 008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And I'm going to change all these people's first names, all these people's last names. Let's see. Smith, Lopez, Jaguar, Fresh, Prince, Bel Air, and Ruski. Okay, and I'm going to change their addresses slightly. 128. This guy's at 129. This guy is at 700. This guy's at 523. This guy's at 250. This guy's at 523. This guy's at 100. Okay. Zip codes are fine. Birthdays are fine. Who cares? Amounts. I'm going to say 1,001. 2,000. 55 bucks. 780. I'm just putting in random stuff right now. You can do the same. Okay. Okay. So let's say that this is like a whole bunch of new customers that I'm importing from some information that I bought from a competitor. Okay, I bought the competitor, and they exported their data to me, and now I'm going to input this information in so that I can because now these customers are my customers. Okay, so I just changed up a bunch of stuff. You can do this if you want to, but just watch if you're not able to keep up. Just watch. So I saved this new information on this customer Excel spreadsheet. Here's what's going to happen now. I'm going to import that data from the Excel spreadsheet into my Access database. So once again, external data tab. I'm going to use the import an Excel spreadsheet function here. Okay, it's going to ask me where to find this file that I'm going to use. All right, it's here in the documents. I got customers right here. I'm going to say open. All right. Import the source data into a new table? No, thank you. Append a copy of the records into the table customers? Yes. And also, if you have a thing where it's like information comes into a certain source, but it's like it's always updating, so you need to constantly be linking to it to update constantly, You can't do this last one here where it says link to the data source with a linked table. Okay, but the middle one is what we're doing here. Appending a copy of our record into a certain table, and that table is customers. Say OK. Okay, it says the table that you're trying to use is currently open and must be closed, which is true. You can't make changes to tables while they're open. Say yes. I closed it. And then it looks at it and says, hey, this is pretty much what we're seeing here. Is this how this is supposed to be broken out? Yeah, that's true. Say next. Okay, import to the table customers. That is correct. Say finish. Say close. Open up your customer database. Bada boom, bada bing. Look at here. All of our new customers are now on our customers table because I took it from the Excel spreadsheet and imported it into my Access database. Okay, so that is a very important function of databases as well. The ability to take not only Access database type files, but also things like Excel spreadsheets, which are a very convenient way to like move data around. You can take an Excel spreadsheet and you can bring in this information into your database. So now I've got twice as many customers because I imported them from an Excel spreadsheet. So now whenever I do the biggest debts query, now it's got a different list of information. Now when I do the reports for customer addresses, lots of customers on there, all arranged nicely in alphabetical order. Okay, customer dues. Okay, I've got a list now of my customers and their who owes what kind of stuff. Okay, lots of different information in there. Okay, and like I said, the greatness that is a database is that it automatically adjusts itself based on the new information and makes something that's printable or viewable easy to look at, easy peasy. All right, so that is getting external data, either taking it from somewhere else, which is an importing, or putting it out into a different format like Excel or text files via exporting. Okay? All right, good times. All right, that's it for today. Let me close out your file. Disregard what I said earlier about going to the Google Classroom and downloading a file because you won't need to do that. So that is unnecessary now. But I hope everybody's learned something about Access. Review these videos to learn more about it. There will be something coming up test-wise to prove that you've been paying attention this week. So make sure that you are looking out for those studies and testing type things. All right? Talk to you guys later.